Hello and welcome to another video. One of the joys of landscape photography is that it's full of surprises. And let's be honest, conditions don't always turn out the way that maybe we hoped. The weather can change instantly, and what looked promising can quickly become cloudy, dark and grey, and that can be really frustrating, especially if you've been planning a shoot for ages. But here's the thing, some of my favourite and most satisfying landscape photos tend to come from those so-called disappointing conditions, and that is achieved by turning a negative into a positive. And that's what this video is all about. In this video, I'll walk you through 5 essential tips to help you plan ahead and adapt quickly and turn those disappointing conditions into unique shots with their own atmosphere and beauty. And in tip 5, I'll show you what for me is the final piece of the jigsaw in creating great photos. And I'll share what still remains one of the best tools for capturing photos like these. And if you do make it to the end of the video, you'll get my little bonus tip that will help you turn a photo just like this into a photo like this. I'm Tony Eveling, I'm a landscape photographer from the UK, and if you find these tips useful, then please give it a like and subscribe for more landscape photography advice. And then hit that notification bell to get notified whenever I release a new video. Okay, tip number 1 is understanding light, but I mean that in a non-technical way, a very human way. And we know light and shadow are inextricably linked to composition. A composition is an arrangement of light and shadow in the frame. For every natural light situation, there's going to be a specific arrangement of that light in the scene in front of you that you can compose, and that will create an engaging photograph. And this applies equally to bright midday sun as it does to golden hour, dawn or dusk lights. All you have to do is to compose that light and shadow from that specific arrangement. In other words, you need to adjust your composition to suit the unique lighting conditions that you're experiencing. So we all love golden hour photography, and we all aspire to get those compositions and hopefully perfect those compositions. And maybe we kind of set our hearts on those compositions too. But you should also leave room for bad weather photography or cloudy weather, as well as graphic bright light and shadows, because the skills that you will develop will transfer across all types of photography. What you learn on a cloudy day will also help you when you're capturing a sunrise on the other side of the world. These skills are all transferable across all genres of photography. So, take photos at all times of day in all weather conditions regardless of lighting conditions. And remember, it's the composition that you need to change in order to create a visually appealing photo. You don't need to change the time of day or the quality of light and so on. Of course, it's different if you only want to take photos at sunrise or sunset, but that's just personal preference. But it still remains that all light is of the same quality. You just need to adapt your composition to fit the light that's present in the scene in front of you. And that leads me to tip number 2, patience and timing. Don't stress too much if compositions are not jumping out at you when you're out there taking photos. Not every photo shoot will lead to a winning photo, and that's okay. Photography is about learning from missed opportunities as much as it is about capturing those perfect moments. Don't get angry or irritated or frustrated when the weather misbehaves, as it will do. If something doesn't happen that you wanted to happen, just chalk it up to experience and move on. Just be confident that over the course of a few weeks or months or over a year, that stunning landscape photos will be an inevitability, even if you just get 1 or 2. But if the sky's duller than you expected and you're not getting that deep red sky that you wanted, don't worry. The art of being creative is to create a composition that suits the environment at the time. Like I've already said, adjust your compositions to suit the lighting conditions. And then always look back at what you've taken over the last few months or over the last year, and you'll see photos that in the cold light of day, many months on, they impress you more now than they did at the time. And by doing these really simple things, you'll increase the variety of photos that you create, and your creativity will skyrocket. And now we have tip number 3. Have you ever felt like inspiration has deserted you? And to be honest, we all have those days when nothing seems to click. But there is a secret to reigniting that spark, a powerful timeless composition trick, if you want to call it that you can rely on no matter the conditions or how uninspired you may be feeling. And that is called symmetry. When you use symmetry, you create a photo where the left side is a mirror image of the right side. And this simple technique works every single time. You will always get a compositionally sound and engaging photo when you employ symmetry in this way. Symmetry always works. And this is repeatable again and again, even on days when you just feel there is nothing there. You may not get the most spectacular photo, but you will get something that works photographically. And again, you will learn from that. So next time you're stuck, try tapping into symmetry. It's a guaranteed way of creating something that's visually strong and may trigger more creativity too. And that takes me on to my fourth tip, which is to be lazy and then to be unique. At the first glance, you may think that these two things do not feel like they go together. But what I mean by lazy is that you've seen popular compositions in photos from other photographers, and now just copy them. Shamelessly copy them. That's what I mean. And if you're not doing it, then you should be doing it. Many of those stunning landscape photos actually use the same composition, what I call the sweeping vista composition that I talked about in a previous video. And you can check in the description for this video for the links to those videos. Anyway, it's the same composition over and over again, just taken at different locations by different photographers. And many are taken by different photographers but at the same location. And believe me, everybody is copying everybody else. And that's been happening since the beginning of photography. And all of that is fine. Just make sure that you are one of those photographers. And so off the back of that, you should also be embracing the cliche. You'll find huge satisfaction in getting those classic shots, and that will give you the confidence to go off and create something unique to you. And cliches are timeless and we love them. So embrace them, use them to build your skills. But as you learn the craft, try to be original too. And that's where the unique thing comes in. By original and unique, I mean just using your gut instincts and intuition, the intuitive moment. Because that will always guarantee originality. Experiment with different angles, obviously, and perspectives, as well as light conditions. And don't be afraid to copy others. Copying is all part of the photography adventure, and it gives you the foundation to discover your own unique voice down the road. And so we move on to tip number 5, and this is all about the humble tripod. And yes, I personally do always carry one. But do you still need a tripod these days with high ISO and image stabilization? Hand holding is easier than ever. But a tripod does open up creative options that you just can't get without it. So here's a quick look at why I find it essential, and maybe it will spark some ideas for you too. So first, you never have to worry about light. In low light scenes like forests, a tripod keeps your creative options open without having to crank up the ISO. And if things do get unexpectedly dark, then a tripod is always there if you need it. I like to use a tripod to capture the same scene but over a very short period of time, like waiting for people to walk into a composition. It also allows me to be patient without having to hold the camera, especially if I also use a remote shutter release, so that I can just stand next to the camera and wait for moments to happen. Because in that situation, I'd have my composition set up on the tripod and I just need then the right people in the right place in the composition. I personally quite like recording movement in a scene, whether it's moving leaves from the trees or moving people. And a tripod is the only way of capturing movement in this way, with the rest of the photo being in sharp focus. I feel that movement in an apparently static scene just helps to create a visual interest that wouldn't be there if I only ever used fast shutter speeds. And then I love to create multiple image panoramas, which I then stitch together in Lightroom, and I tend to use a tripod just to ensure that things are all lined up. A tripod also helps me to slow down and connect with my surroundings. It's a way to think differently about each shot, which can help me at least to be a bit more creative. But what about you? Do you still use a tripod, or have you gone completely handheld? Let me know in the comments if I've missed any of your favourite uses of a tripod. I'd love to hear them. So now we have that bonus tip. And here's the sequence of events that will take something like this photo and turn it into something like this photo. And this is what you need to do. First, have an inspired moment. The thing that I call a moment of inspiration. Then you need to stop and look out at the scene in front of you. Work out what created that moment. What is the central most important part of that scene? That specific area that your eye was drawn to, that's the subject of your image. The viewer's eye must go straight to that subject when viewing the final finished image for the first time. Be aware of that when you're composing. Make the subject big enough or small enough for that to happen effortlessly. Make sure that all objects in the frame are instantly recognizable for the viewer and have space around them so that we can see the outline of those objects. Make sure that there are no distractions near the edge of the frame, therefore making sure that the eye goes straight to the subject no matter what. And that is the formula for every compositionally correct photo ever taken, whether you use things like the rule of thirds or not. That is how to compose an image in a nutshell. And that's how you go from this to this. And as for that intuitive moment thing that sparks every compelling and captivating composition, well, you need to watch this video on exactly that right here.